Marcus Hill, a big-built black man with soft eyes and a commanding presence, packed the last bag into his SUV. His wife, Renee, smiled as their two kids, Caleb and Maya, argued playfully in the back seat. It had been years since Marcus took a vacation. After 20 years in Delta Force, this family trip to Lakewood Springs felt like freedom. The small town looked peaceful, but beneath the smiles and the waving flags, there lingered something else. A quiet judgment Marcus felt the moment they stopped for gas. He noticed eyes following him, whispers behind car windows. He ignored it. He'd faced worse. At the diner, the waitress hesitated before seating them. "Sorry, sir. Kitchen's a little slow today," she mumbled, avoiding eye contact. Marcus didn't argue. He'd learned that silence spoke louder than rage. When they finally reached their rental cabin, Marcus carried the bags while Renee unpacked food for dinner. The kids ran toward the lake. Laughter filled the air again. Then came the flashing red and blue lights. Two police cruisers screeched to a stop outside. 4 officers stepped out, hands already resting on their holsters. "Sir, we got a report of suspicious activity," one said sharply. Marcus frowned. "Suspicious? We just checked in here an hour ago." "Step away from the vehicle, sir," the officer barked. Renee froze. Caleb clutched his sister's arm. Marcus raised his hands calmly. "My family and I are just here for vacation." "Don't move," another cop yelled, pointing his taser. Marcus felt his pulse tighten. Every instinct from combat came rushing back. But this wasn't Afghanistan. This was home. The officer searched the car, tossing bags, throwing the kids' toys on the ground. Renee tried to protest. "You can't do this." "Ma'am, stay back," they snapped. They found nothing, but the humiliation had already done its damage. Marcus's kids stared at him, confused, hurt. "Sorry for the misunderstanding," the lead cop muttered, pretending nothing happened. "Just doing our job." Marcus looked at his family, then at the officers, his silence cut sharper than any words. As they drove off, Renee whispered, "You can't let this go, Marcus." He clenched his fists on the steering wheel, his voice low, cold, deliberate. "I won't." Marcus didn't sleep that night. The cabin was silent except for the hum of cicadas outside and the soft breathing of his children down the hall. He sat at the edge of the bed, staring at his calloused hands. Those same hands had saved lives overseas. Yet tonight, he hadn't been able to protect his own family from humiliation in his own country. Renee sat beside him, her voice trembling. "You could have been killed, Marcus. What if they'd shot you?" He didn't answer. He'd replayed it in his head 100 times already. The flashing lights, the shaking hands of the young officer, the fear in his kids' eyes. Marcus rose and opened his duffel. Inside were remnants of another life. A folded Delta Force patch, a combat knife, and a dog tag engraved Hill, AML. He hadn't touched them in years, but something deep inside told him this wasn't over. The next morning, he took the family into town for breakfast, pretending everything was fine. But when he entered the diner again, the same waitress turned pale. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. The same officers from last night were sitting at the counter, laughing. "Morning, fellas," Marcus said calmly. His tone was even, but his eyes were sharp. The lead officer, Sergeant Cole Briggs, turned and smirked. "Well, look who's back. Hope you enjoyed your little stay last night, big guy." The other cops chuckled. Marcus smiled back, controlled. "You boys ever been in the service?" Briggs raised an eyebrow. "Nah, don't need to play soldier to keep punks in line." Marcus leaned in just enough for Briggs to feel his breath. Then maybe you should learn what real discipline looks like. He walked out without another word. That afternoon, Marcus called an old contact, Captain David Lawson, now working in internal affairs. "Dave, I need a favor," Marcus said. His voice was steady, but the steel underneath was unmistakable. "Got some cops out here making bad choices. I want every record, every complaint, every disciplinary note on Sergeant Cole Briggs and his crew." Lawson hesitated. "Marcus, what are you planning?" "Just accountability," Marcus replied. "The kind the system keeps forgetting." Within hours, files began coming in. Records of excessive force, falsified reports, harassment complaints swept under the rug. Marcus printed every one of them, stacking the papers neatly like ammunition. That night, Renee found him outside the cabin, sitting by the firelight, reading each file like scripture. "You're not going to war again, are you?" she whispered. He looked up at her, eyes glinting in the flames. "This time, I'm not fighting for a flag. I'm fighting for respect." In the distance, the faint echo of sirens grew closer. Briggs's patrol car. Marcus's jaw tightened. Renee's hand trembled on his shoulder. "Marcus, promise me you won't do anything stupid." He stood slowly, the firelight outlining his broad frame. "Stupid," he said softly. "No, I'm about to teach them what smart looks like." Marcus rose before dawn. The sky was still gray, the air thick with mist rolling off Lakewood Springs. He stood outside the cabin, stretching his arms like a soldier back in formation. Every motion felt deliberate, controlled, like the gears of an old machine coming back to life. The commander inside him was awake again. He loaded his truck quietly, not to wake Renee or the kids. On the seat beside him lay a tablet, a GoPro, and a printed stack of Briggs's corruption files. He wasn't going to hurt anyone. He was going to expose them. The first stop was the sheriff's office. Marcus parked across the street, scanning the perimeter. Old habits, entry points, blind spots, escape routes. He found Briggs's patrol car outside and smiled. Using his phone, Marcus hacked into the public Wi-Fi and accessed the police radio frequency. Years of military experience made him an expert at slipping into systems. He recorded their internal chatter, racist jokes, laughter about teaching people a lesson, and even a conversation about the big black guy at the lake. Gold. Next, he visited Tommy Ruiz, a local mechanic and former Marine who now fixed cars for the police department. "Tommy, long time," Marcus greeted. Tommy's eyes widened. "Hill? No way. Delta Force Hill? What brings you here?" "Just need a favor, brother," Marcus said, handing him a thumb drive. "Plug this into any cruiser's dash cam system next time they roll in. It'll sync their camera feeds remotely to me." Tommy hesitated. "You going after the cops?" Marcus looked him dead in the eye. "No, I'm going after the truth." By afternoon, Marcus had enough footage to make any reporter drool, but he wanted more than exposure. He wanted accountability. He wanted those men to feel what they made his kids feel: fear, shame, helplessness. That evening, Briggs and his crew showed up again at the diner. Marcus was waiting in the corner booth, calm, composed, coffee untouched. "Look who can't get enough of us," Briggs sneered. Marcus smiled faintly. "Funny thing about power, it disappears when the truth shows up." Briggs frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Marcus slid his phone across the table. A video played, the officer's radio chatter from earlier, every vile word clear as daylight. The laughter died instantly. "You recorded that?" Briggs hissed. "I didn't have to," Marcus replied. "You recorded yourselves." All I did was listen. Briggs leaned closer, face red with rage. You think anyone will believe you over a cop? Marcus's voice dropped to a calm whisper. They won't have to believe me. They'll see it. Briggs's jaw tightened. You're done in this town. Marcus stood slowly, towering over him. I've been done fighting wars for flags. Now I fight for my family. As he walked out, Briggs slammed the table. You don't know who you're messing with. Marcus paused at the door, looked back, and said with chilling certainty, Neither do you. Outside, thunder rolled across the lake. The storm was coming. By sunrise, Lakewood Springs wasn't the same quiet town anymore. Marcus had spent the night uploading files, syncing footage, and crafting a video that would change everything. He titled it simply, When Justice Sleeps. The clip opened with Briggs's voice mocking Marcus's family, followed by body cam footage Tommy had helped extract from the police cruisers. It showed the illegal search, the thrown toys, and the trembling faces of his children. The next scenes showed Briggs and his team laughing at racial slurs over the radio. Finally, Marcus's calm voiceover filled the silence. These men swore an oath to serve and protect. But they forgot one thing. Justice doesn't retire. He uploaded it anonymously to every social platform, tagging local news outlets and major journalists. Within hours, it spread like wildfire. Comments poured in. Unbelievable. Fire them. Protect that family. Renee found him sitting outside the cabin with his laptop, eyes fixed on the screen. You did this? She whispered. Marcus nodded. They wanted to embarrass my family. I'm just returning the favor, with the truth. Just then, tires screeched outside. 3 police cruisers pulled up. Briggs climbed out, face twisted in fury. You think this is a game, Hill? He shouted. You just destroyed my career. Marcus stood, unflinching. You destroyed it yourself. Briggs lunged forward, grabbing Marcus's shirt. But before he could speak again, another car arrived. A black sedan with government plates. Captain Lawson stepped out, flanked by 2 internal affairs officers. Sergeant Briggs, Lawson said sharply, you're under investigation for misconduct, harassment, and falsifying reports. Briggs froze. What? You can't do this here. Oh, I can, Lawson replied. Because he made sure the world was watching. Briggs looked back at Marcus, disbelief and rage mixing in his eyes. You set me up. Marcus's voice was calm, deadly precise. No, I gave you the chance to be better. You chose who you are. As Briggs was cuffed, his men looked away ashamed. One muttered under his breath, We shouldn't have gone that far. Marcus turned to them. You've still got time to change. Don't waste it. When the cruisers drove off, Renee ran into his arms, tears spilling down her cheeks. You did it, baby. You really did it. Marcus held her tight. No, we did it. I just reminded them that silence is never strength. Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the lake, the family sat by the fire again. Caleb looked up at his father. Dad, were you scared? Marcus smiled softly. Every second. But courage isn't about not being scared. It's about standing tall even when you are. Renee rested her head on his shoulder. So what now? Marcus watched the orange glow flicker across the water. Now, he said, voice deep and certain, we heal. And we make sure nobody else's family goes through this again. But deep down he knew the fight wasn't over. Justice had awakened. And so had the soldier within. The next few days turned Lakewood Springs upside down. Local news vans lined the streets. Reporters crowded outside the sheriff's office, demanding answers. The town that once whispered behind Marcus's back now looked at him with new eyes, some with shame, others with gratitude. Marcus stayed quiet. He didn't crave fame or vengeance. He just wanted peace for his family. But peace, he realized, had to be earned. Inside the cabin, Renee scrolled through her phone, tears glistening. "Look at this, Marcus. People are marching downtown. For us, they're demanding reform." Marcus leaned over her shoulder. Videos flooded social media, people holding signs, reading justice for the Hill family and accountability for all. Even the governor's office released a statement promising a full investigation into the Lakewood Springs Police Department. Briggs's face was all over the news, handcuffed, disgraced, and suspended indefinitely pending trial. Caleb and Maya watched from the couch, wide-eyed. "Dad, they said you were a hero," Maya said softly. Marcus smiled and knelt in front of her. "No, baby. Heroes are the people who speak up, even when they're scared." Like your mom, Renee laughed lightly. "Don't put that on me." But Marcus shook his head. "You stood by me when the world wanted me quiet. That's real courage." Later that evening, Marcus drove alone to the diner, the same one where everything began. The waitress approached cautiously. "Mr. Hill, I'm sorry for how I treated you." Marcus nodded gently. "Fear makes people do stupid things. Just promise me you'll treat the next family better." She nodded, eyes wet. "I will." As he stepped outside, a group of local officers stood waiting, not in hostility, but in respect. One, a young rookie, stepped forward. "Sir, I just wanted to say, thank you. You opened our eyes." Marcus clasped his shoulder. "Then do something with it. Wear that badge for the right reasons." That night, Marcus sat by the lake as the moonlight shimmered on the water. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his old Delta Force dog tag. For years, it reminded him of war. Now, it reminded him of purpose. Renee joined him, wrapping a blanket around them both. "You think it's over?" she asked. Marcus exhaled slowly. "Not over. Just beginning. Justice isn't a one-time mission. It's a lifetime one." He looked out over the dark water, the reflection of his family glowing in the cabin window behind him. "Maybe I can start something. Help veterans like me. Help families who get silenced." Renee smiled softly. "Then do it. You were built to lead, Marcus." As dawn broke, he took one last look at the lake before packing their things. They were heading home. Not defeated, but stronger. The world had seen what happened, and something had shifted. Before driving off, Marcus slipped his dog tag around the rearview mirror. The metal caught the sunlight and gleamed. He whispered to himself, voice steady and proud, "The war's not over. It just found a new battlefield." And with that, the Hill family drove away, together, unbroken, and forever changed. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned because more amazing stories are on the way.